Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We now move to the motion before the House this morning, and it is my pleasure to introduce the second group. So this House believes that porn should have a place in sex education. We now look to the Honourable Member, Madame de la Fuente, to open the case for the proposition.
Thank you, Madam President, and all the members of the House. Thank you for having me as one of your speakers today. It falls upon me to introduce the opposition speakers in today's debate. First, opening the case for the opposition, we have Mr. De Luis, who comes from Bilbao but is now living in Gasteiz and likes reading and listening to music. You will then hear from Madame Velaz, who is from Durango but is studying in Gasteiz and likes meeting new people and singing, closing the case for the opposition. Now, I would like to start with my speech. So let me come to my first argument, which is that pornography in sex education normalizes sexual diversity. Sexual diversity is an aspect of human experience, including a wide range of orientations, identities, and expressions. On our way to acceptance and understanding, it is crucial to explore unconventional avenues, and today we will focus on pornography. One way in which pornography contributes to the normalization of sexual diversity is through the several representations of sexual orientations and identities. Media often fails at providing visibility to marginalized communities, but certain genres of adult content can fill this gap. By showing plenty of sexual expressions, pornography can offer representation for individuals who may feel excluded or underrepresented. The explicit nature of pornography allows the exploration of various several activities and preferences, challenging social stigmas and taboos. Exposure to a range of diverse adult content has the potential to contribute to a more open-minded and accepting cultural attitude towards sexual diversity. By confronting social norms, pornography becomes a safe space for dialogue and change. Certain genres of pornography can break down traditional gender roles and stereotypes. Adult content can reshape social expectations related to gender and sexual roles. By presenting scenarios that challenge conventional norms, pornography contributes to a more fluid understanding of sexuality, encouraging individuals to question preconceived notions. The LGBTQ+ community and other marginalized groups find voice and a platform in certain forms of pornography to express their identities and desires openly. This visibility not only provides a sense of validation and representation, but also contributes to a broader understanding of the diversity of human sexuality. Thereby, in doing so, it fosters empathy, acceptance, and a more inclusive society. Ethically produced adult content has the potential to sensitize individuals to diverse cultural expressions of sexuality. Exposure to different cultural practices through pornography can promote cultural awareness and understanding, thereby normalizing sexual diversity worldwide. It becomes a tool for breaking down cultural barriers and encouraging a more inclusive worldview. So, in a short form, while recognizing the criticism and ethical concerns associated with pornography, it is important to acknowledge its potential role in normalizing sexual diversity. This means that the representation, visibility, and challenges to social norms that certain forms of adult content offer can contribute to a more inclusive and open-minded cultural attitude toward diverse sexual expressions. This is why I firmly believe that porn should have a place in sex education. Proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you, Madame de la Fuente. We now look to the Honourable Member, Mr. De Luis, to open the case for the opposition today.
Members of the House, esteemed guests, Madam President, it is both a great honor and pleasure to be speaking here today. I've been told that it falls upon me to introduce the members of the proposition today. We've just heard from Ms. de la Fuente opening the case for the proposition. And, well, in case you do not know her, let me tell you some brief information. She is from Guernica, She loves pop music, and it's 18 years old. Now, next up, Ms. Carasa Torre will take over the room, which, well, I'm sure it will be a great speech. And, well, but not before I also introduce her with 3 words that she thinks describe her best. Funny, hardworking, and sensitive. And what could I say? I completely agree with them. Now, I know our guests would be more than happy to hear about our incredible members here, but I fear I must begin with my opposition speech. Firstly, let me emphasize that the opposition is not against sexual education, and rather advocates for a well-rounded curriculum that provides youth with the knowledge and skill to healthily navigate their sexual lives. However, our contention with the proposition comes with the belief that introducing pornography as a tool for sexual education is neither appropriate nor beneficial. One of our primary concerns is the portrayal of relationships in pornography. As in the vast majority of cases, pornography doesn't contemplate the intricacy and complexity of real interpersonal relationships. Emotions are always cast aside, and all videos lack context. Sex education must not merely focus on the physical aspect of relationships, but should also emphasize the importance of consent, communication, and emotional well-being of the parties involved, as well as, of course, the previous steps to a healthy intercourse and the possible consequences of it. And that is something that porn doesn't contemplate. While the opposition rightly highlights the potential of pornography to broaden perspectives on sexual diversity, it overlooks an important point, that is, television today does, in fact, represent these minorities, whereas porn tends to fetishize and sensationalize them, without even showing the educational content that should be provided when talking about non-heteronormative relationships. With this, I'm afraid the proposition argument regarding the positivity of sexual diversity in adult media loses effectiveness. As, for example, homosexual porn doesn't even show the preparation needed to have these relationships. And also, they don't explain the differences between gay and heterosexual sex. So we can't say that homosexual porn is helpful for queer youth regarding sexual education. Another concern we have is the potential reinforcement of harmful gender stereotypes. Pornography often perpetuates traditional gender roles, promoting unrealistic ideals and objectification. A study done by the American Psychological Association, or as you might know it, APA, showed that this can have a detrimental impact on the development of healthy attitudes towards sexuality, relationships, and our own body image, reinforcing harmful norms that society should be actively avoiding. In addition, there are many ethical considerations regarding the production and consumption of pornography, as many actors in the adult industry might be suffering from sexual exploitation or duress, as shown by a study made by the North American Journal of Psychology in 2012. This raises questions whether showing porn in sexual education talks is ethical or not. In conclusion, while sex education is undoubtedly crucial in fostering a healthy and informed society, integrating pornography into the curriculum poses significant risks. Sexual education talks should not only avoid using porn, but should also criticize it because of the unrealistic portrayal of relationships, the irregularities on the creation of adult media, and the many other psychological downsides that might appear on an average consumer. I would like to finish my speech by showing a sign regarding a topic that later my companion Ainhoa Velaz will deepen into. El porno es una escuela de violencia contra las mujeres. Proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Luis. We now look to the Honourable Member, Madame Carasa Torre, to close the case for the proposition today.
I express my gratitude to Madam President for allowing me to speak here today, as it is both an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to do so. I'm grateful for your support, members of the House, and I'd like to thank the enchanting crowd that tuned in for today's debate. I do believe that porn should have place in sex education to raise knowledge and awareness of the risks. Whether pornography actually promotes or harms sexual and health well-being has been an ongoing debate since the early 1900s. And let me ask you this. If you think about porn, do you really believe that everything surrounding it can be harmful in the area of education? Well, I do not. Now I will start providing my first argument. The sex therapist Jason Winters, 2015, says that it's not the pornography itself that causes harm. It's the lack of dialogue about what they're seeing that turns kids away. Winter recommends starting sex education with porn early and creating a way to talk about sex that doesn't involve embarrassment or shame. Moreover, as Osmo Contura 2008 states, pornography plays a silent but important role in spreading knowledge, sexual knowledge, and education. Lack of knowledge hinders the formation of relationships, reduces the quality of sexual experience, and causes negative consequences. This sociologist and sexologist also explained that interaction skills between an individual and their partner during a sexual communication are necessary for satisfaction, and porn contributes to the development of these skills. But why is pornography in sex education curriculum helpful? As Louis Scotty, a broadcaster and communication expert, explained in 2014, to show why it is made, how it is made, what is missing, sexual positions, and the difference between consent and coercion. We need this because young people stand at pornography online and take it as gospel for what they believe, how people look at the camera, how they treat each other, and unrealistic body images. They should know that is not always the case. To illustrate my point further, I'm going to speak about the importance of understanding pornography in sex education. On the one hand, the professor and director of communication science, Paul J. Wright, 2018, confirms that sex education should include discussions about the prevalence of pornography in modern society. Students should be encouraged to critically analyze and question the content they might encounter, fostering media literacy skills. On the other hand, regarding the legal and ethical considerations, Otto and Owen Maho, two readers and writers in the Department of Religious Management and Cultural Studies, 2021, explained that educators should inform students about the legal and ethical aspect of pornography, emphasizing the importance of age-appropriate content and the potential consequences of engaging with illegal material. So that's why it's important to add porn in the sex education. And ultimately, summarizing the proposition arguments, firstly, we heard the speech of the Honourable Member, Madame de la Fuente, in which she let us clear the benefits that porn has in terms of sex education, providing information about how introducing pornography in sex education could contribute to normalizing sexual diversity, as well as breaking stereotypes. Now, talking about the arguments that I've just stated, I wanted to close my speech by repeating that pornography plays a silent but important role in spreading sexual knowledge and education, and that the lack of knowledge hinders the formation of relationships, reduces the quality of sexual experience, and causes negative consequences. It is for these reasons that we argue for voting in favor of the opposition. Thank you.
Thank you, Madame Carasa Torre. We now look to the Honourable Member, Madame Velaz, to close the case for the opposition and the debate as a whole.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, honourable members of the House, and a special thanks to our wonderful audience. Words cannot convey how honoured I feel to be able to speak here today. It is both a great pleasure and a great privilege. You have already heard my companion and friend, the Honourable Member, Mr. De Luis, describe our position regarding today's topic, sexual education and porn. When thinking about what best defines porn, or sexual education, you got in your life, I'm sure the things that it was awkward or maybe I didn't get any pop up in your minds, or maybe the banana condom rendezvous, yeah? But what I'm also positive about is that the first word you came up with was not porn. As you may have heard from my partner's magnificent speech, he covered how pornography doesn't represent consent or how a healthy sexual relationship should look, and how the consumption of pornography helps develop a business model based on sexual exploitation. Now, I will be delighting you with the second reason regarding a very cautious but yet crucial matter, which is women's role in pornography, in order to defend why we are opposing this motion. Now I want the audience to contemplate the definition of porn and ask yourselves the same question we are debating here today. Should porn have a place in sexual education? Or even better yet, let me rephrase that and make it a little bit more personal. Knowing what kind of porn is available nowadays just a click away, would you like your children to learn from it and believe that what they see is what they're going to experience? Personally, the mere thought of it makes me shiver, and I think and I hope that the same happens to all of you. Why am I asking this, you may be wondering? Well, in order to provide some context, since the introduction of the internet in the 1990s, pornography has been one of the fastest growing, most accessible, lucrative industries to date. And as the advocate and author combating sexual abuse and exploitation, Hayley McNamara, states in her article, pornography sets expectation of abuse, portraying and endorsing verbal and physical violence as pleasurable while making it commonplace. Withal, these acts of aggression, which as a matter of fact are against women, occur in 87% of scenes, in which 95% of occasions when these actions are carried out, women tend to react with displays of satisfaction or indifference, which we all know are all an act and fictional, but still leaving the remaining 5% acting out as we call rape. Pornography serves as a type of sexual instruction, imparting the notion that female sexual partners should find pleasure in physical activities like striking, gagging, slapping, or engaging in non-consensual intercourse. It is unsurprising that extensive studies consistently indicate a direct link between regular consumption of mainstream pornography and our increased inclination to perpetrate sexual assault, an alarming risk for individuals who have experienced domestic abuse, per se. I would now like to bring back one of the arguments used by the Honourable Member, Madame Carasa Torre, in which she states that porn helps the development of interaction skills between oneself and one's partner. But I would like to emphasize and contradict Madame Carasa Torre by saying that in the porn we all know, the last thing that is taught is a healthy and egalitarian relationship, not to mention feminist one. Since most pornographic content is based on a male character with dominant and aggressive qualities, and on the other hand, a female character represented as weak, submissive, and without the right to speak nor to have a say. So all in all, ladies and gentlemen, today we make the statement that porn must not have a place in sexual education. My associate, Dacier de Luis, explained in detail how the consumption of pornography helps develop a business model based on sexual exploitation, providing examples such as child porn, non-consensual intercourse, and coercion. And I have denounced that the role that women play in the world of pornography, stressing that I denounce it, because it's something that must change, and if it doesn't, women will continue to be oppressed and personified as a toy for pleasure. Finally, we determined that pornography should not only be avoided in sexual education, but also in society. With the evidence my companion and I have provided today, we believe that pornography will continue to portray a patriarchal society in which women will not have the right to express themselves and enjoy their sexuality, and if not changed, we certainly do not want this ideology to be spread to next generations, and I hope you do not either. Therefore, we urge the House to consider this when deliberating the motion. Very proud to propose, and thank you very much.